Hi, you guys. It's Yaz, and today I'm going to answer a very common question that a lot of people keep asking me. Why does the narcissist recycle their exes? Why do they bother even recycling their exes? Well, I'm going to give you 4 reasons why they do this, okay? Number 1, a narcissist will recycle their exes because, number 1, their exes are easier to deal with than having to go out and start new sometimes. An ex, they're familiar with their ex. They already know their ex. They already know how to manipulate their exes. They don't have to learn them again. See, when they go out and they get new supply, they have to learn these people. That takes time. That takes work. That takes a lot of effort, okay? Narcissists don't want to have to put in all that work if they can get the same supply from their exes. So it's just easier to just recycle an ex and get whatever supply they're getting out of them. They could be getting money out of them. They could be getting sex out of them. They could be getting attention out of them. So they figure, you know what? I'm just going to bounce back to my ex because I already know how to work this person. I already know, what moves to make, how to manipulate them. I don't have to go relearn somebody, all right? So that's one big reason why a narcissist would recycle an ex, all right? The other thing, too, you got to keep in mind is narcissists always take the path of least resistance. They always take the path of least work with, if they can get the same return, the same supply, they're going to go the path of least resistance. And a lot of times that could just be their exes. It's too much work to start over. It's too much work to put all that love bombing in. And then they don't even know. Not everybody that a narcissist love bombs is going to fall for it. That's another thing that people forget. Just because narcissists go out there and love bomb, there's a lot of people that reject them. So they could go out and try with new people, but a lot of times these new people can see through them and will not bother with the narcissist. Not everybody is fooled by the narcissist, you guys, all right? Some people have already been in the game. They know what it is. And then the narcissist, thinking that they can go to these people and they could play those moves on them. And let's say they did it with somebody who's already been in the game, they're going to get rejected. All right. This is what people don't realize. Narcissists they're not always successful with the love bomb. It really depends on who they're dealing with. They're successful with people that are, naive, that haven't been through it before. But most of the time when people have been through it, they're not going to fall for that. All right. So the other thing, too, is the people say they recycle their exes. Well, a lot of times they never left their ex. There was never closure with their exes. And that's what narcissists love to do. They love to leave, loose ties, so to speak. They don't want to give their exes closure. So what they'll do is they'll block them, they'll ghost on them, but they never completely end it with their exes. So it's always a loose tie there that they could come back at any time, all right? And that's the way narcissists like it. So they'll come back to their exes and they'll say things like, oh, I just needed time to myself. I was going through something. Oh, I didn't know what I wanted, this and that. That's when they just disappear on their exes, and their exes feel like they got discarded, but it really was a fake discard and the narcissist was coming back. The other thing, too, is they could be on break with their exes and then start with somebody new. And, then they go back to their exes and you're thinking, oh, they went back to their ex when they were never fully broken up with their exes. You got to be really careful when you get involved with somebody. You've got to make sure that they're not still in contact with their exes. If they keep talking about their exes, don't touch that with a 10-foot pole, okay? There's some kind of emotional tie there. They're still connected to their exes. That's something you don't even want to touch, all right? So the reasons are, it's just easier, it's familiar, To go back to an ex, it's the path of least resistance. It's too much work to start all over and love bomb somebody new and have to, give them constant calls, constant attention, maybe do favors for them. Some love bombing, they even buy them things. Narcissists don't want to have to go through all that if they could just bounce back to their exes. And the big thing, like, too, I said, was their exes being familiar to them. So it's easier for them to, just bounce back and just tell them, oh, I love you, or something like that. And some people fall for that. Some exes fall for that. Again, they never left their ex. It could be a situation where they never left their ex, or it could be they were on break with their ex. Now, the biggest reason why a narcissist may recycle their ex, okay, is because they're not doing well out there. See, here's the thing, you guys. We give these narcissists too much credit, okay? Yeah, narcissists could go out and get supply sometimes, but not all the time. There's a lot of times that narcissists are struggling out there. And you'll know that they're struggling because that's when you're going to hear from them. I always say an ex will come back when they're not doing good, okay? They're not doing good, or the supply they're with, they're bored with them, or maybe the new supplier isn't as good as your supply. They're missing your supply. That's when you know too they miss your supply, because they could be with a new supply, but if they're missing your supply, that means that your supply was better. All right. That means that the new supply isn't doing it for them, or they got bored with the new supply. So now they're going to come back and they're going to try you. So when you hear from that narcissist, 9 times out of 10, it's because that narcissist is bored with whoever they've got, or they're getting a dry spell. They're hitting the wall. They may be out there on dating apps and they're not doing well, okay? The dating apps are not the same as they used to be, okay? So people are a lot more educated today. Not everybody is naive the way they were maybe 5 years ago. And all of this education has, a lot of people have waken up to what's going on with these narcissists and how they're all over the dating apps, all over other apps. And it's not so easy for a narcissist to manipulate as it was years ago, okay? Because people are now aware of the red flags, the love bombing, all the things that narcissists do. People are aware of that now. So a narcissist may be hitting the wall out there and they feel like, well, I'll just bounce back to my ex. I know what makes them tick and everything, and I can still get supply out of them. And even if they're unsuccessful with the Hoover, okay, when you reject them with the Hoover, they may still come back again, okay? It could be a couple months, it could be years. And when they do that, it's because they're desperate. They're desperate, all right? So they figure they have nothing to lose. They'll try you. They know the chances are that you may reject them, but because they're desperate, you guys, that's why you'll hear from them. Like, people have asked me, they said, oh, if you expose the narcissist, you'll never hear from them again. That's not necessarily true. You most definitely can hear from the narcissist again, all right? They don't care. Because the bottom line is their goal is to get the supply, okay? To get the supply. And if they think that they love bombed you once and you fell for it, they're overconfident and they're going to think, well, I'll just give it some time. They'll miss me. They'll forget what I did, and I'll try them up in, a couple of months, even a year or longer. And, let's see, maybe they'll be receptive to me. But what they miss is that people get stronger with time. All right. Generally, people get stronger with time. And when the narcissist comes back, let's say after a year or two, right? You're not going to be the same as you were if the narcissist came back within 2 months. You're going to be stronger because you learned how to live without the narcissist. And this is where narcissists lose. This is where narcissists get blindsided because they always think that they're going to get back what they got out of you. They think that, you were weak, you were vulnerable, you believed the mind games. And they feel like if you're that naive, they could come back, they could do it again, and they could get over on you. But a lot of people get stronger, they get healed, and they don't fall for the tricks of the narcissist. They really don't fall for the tricks of the narcissist. Usually when somebody goes back to a narcissist, let's say the narcissist comes back, right, after, a year or longer or something like that, that's because that person has really not healed, all right? That person has not healed, and they may become, they may become vulnerable to the narcissist because they haven't healed. They haven't seen the narcissist for what they are. When people go back to the narcissist, it's because usually they either could be very, very lonely and they're desperate, or they just don't see the narcissist for who they are. They haven't gotten to that point of healing and really studying narcissism and studying who they were dealing with and all the toxic behavior. It hasn't really clicked in yet who this person is to them because they're still idolizing the narcissist. They're still reminiscing about the narcissist. They're not seeing the narcissist for who they truly are yet, okay? You've got to see that narcissist for who they truly are. That's why you've got to write it all down on a piece of paper in black and white and remind yourself of what this person has done to you. Remind yourself how they treated you like a fool. And this way, you don't become weak and you don't go back to that narcissist, all right? So here's something that you guys got to always, always, always remember. The main objective of the narcissist is to get the supply, no matter who it is, whether it's new supply, old supply, recycling exes. Their main objective is to get supply, however they can do it. And when they come back to you, it's because they're not doing well out there, okay? They're not doing well out there, and it is just easier, more familiar to come back to you because they know you already. They don't have to put the work into somebody new, okay? It's easier to deal with an ex that they already know the ins and outs, how to make them tick, than to start with someone else and have to sit there and try to figure out a new person, all right? It's a lot of work with new supply and, love bombing them, love bombing the people around them, flattering them, putting the time in. They got to put a lot of time into new supply. They don't have to put a lot of time into exes because they already put the time into the ex, right? So it's a lot easier to just bounce back to an ex, and especially if they're getting the same supply. If they're getting the same supply, it's a lot easier to just hoover their ex and say, oh, I love you. Some people fall for that, all right? And they give the supply over to the narcissist very easily. All the narcissist has to do is say, I love you. And people melt. So many people are lonely that they melt for that, okay? So that's the reasons they recycle their exes. And like I said before, keep in mind too, they never left their exes. In a lot of cases, they have, loose ties out there with their exes where they've been in contact with their ex the whole time, okay? They may be texting with their exes. They may have situationships with their exes. They may be broken up with their exes. See, people forget this too. A lot of times they could be broken up with their exes, but they're still having a situationship with their ex, and their ex doesn't care because their ex is so desperate for them, all right? Their ex is so trauma bonded to the narcissist that they'll even settle for a situationship. This is why narcissists get over on people, because people can be very desperate and lonely, and all they need are those words of, admiration, those flattery, the I love yous, I care about you, I want this to work with you. And people fall for this nonsense. People fall for it. And they figure, oh, I'll give them another try. They're telling me how much they care. Just because a narcissist tells you they care doesn't mean they care. They could be telling you they love you, they care about you because they want to use you again. And they do this to their exes. They come back and they tell them, I love you, I miss you, I want it to work, this and that. I'll change. They'll tell them everything under the sun. And some people take back their exes, and the narcissist may be okay for a little while, but then they go back to their old ways. They repeat their patterns. And then they're like, why did I even take back that narcissist, right? Because here's the thing, narcissists will never change. They repeat the same pattern over and over and over and over again. And the only way you're going to know this, some people have to live through it. Some people, you could sit there and explain it to them, and they still want to keep giving chance after chance after chance to the narcissist till they've gotten enough kicks in the teeth and they say, I've had enough, all right? I've had enough. And that's when the narcissist could get kicked to the curb. But the narcissist will have a little run there in recycling their exes and getting the supply out of them just by making fake promises that they're going to change, making fake promises they're going to do things for their exes, telling them how much they love them. And that's why exes will keep them around. That's why exes will keep around. And a lot of times it's because the exes don't have something going on in their own life. They haven't moved on. Not only has the narcissist not moved on, but a lot of times their exes have not moved on. So their exes are always available to the narcissist. And that's another reason too why narcissists select vulnerable people, because they know vulnerable people are going to be, susceptible to be able to be love bombed, easier to manipulate, easier to come back to, rather than a strong person that, the narcissist breaks their boundary and a strong person says, not today, Satan, you're done, bye. Okay? No, they want a vulnerable person. They want somebody who's maybe a single parent that's going through a hard time, having a hard time dating, and that they could try to manipulate because they're desperate for love. They want maybe a widow or widower that's vulnerable. They like vulnerable people that, are suffering so that they can come in and pretend to be their hero, be the angel of light. And these people fall for it, okay? They fall for it because they're missing something in their lives and they want to feel good. And the narcissist gives them a minute of feeling good with those, fake words, all right? They're all about fake words. And people want to feel good because of maybe their situation that they're in, or they're just lonely. And this is how the narcissist is able to come back and recycle their exes, all right? So don't fall for this, you guys. Once toxic, always toxic. Period, dot, end of story. Once a liar, always a liar. Once a gaslighter, always a gaslighter. Once somebody plays mind games on you, guess what? They're always going to play mind games on you. So once you figure out that you're dealing with a narcissist and they have played you for a fool, it's time for you to show them that you aren't any fool. And not today, Satan. Now you're never going to get me again. Okay, that's the best revenge. Just cut them off cold. Cut them off cold, and that's your way of letting them know, well, I didn't know what you are, but now I know what you are, and now you're never, ever going to come back into my life because I'll never let you get over on me twice, all right? So I hope that helps you. If it does, hit the subscribe button, share the podcast. If you're looking for confidential one-on-one phone coaching, check out the link in the bio at askyaz.wixsite.com/thegameexposed. If you're confused, you don't know if you're dealing with a narcissist, what kind of narcissist you're dealing with, and you need clarity, you need advice, check out the link in the bio. Also, you guys, check out my YouTube. I have almost 7,000 videos on YouTube. I lay it down. I put so much information. I have tried to put everything I could possibly put on there for you that I've been through with narcissism so that you guys can learn from it and, be aware of all these kinds of things, the manipulation, the control, what triggers a narcissistic collapse, the discard, the fake discard, the love bombing, the covert narcissist, the silent treatment. It's all on my YouTube. So just go to my YouTube at the Game Exposed podcast, do a search on the channel for whatever topic within narcissism you're looking for, let's say discard, and you'll find a whole host of videos and reels, okay? Also, TikTok is the Game Exposed. Facebook is the Game EXP123, and Instagram is the Game EXP123. And have a great day, you guys.